Alright, we got Lake Atlan tonight. Good pollen source. So I used to question if Lake Atlan was self-fertile. But most of my Lake Atlans, they're touching. The stigma and anthers are touching, right? So if it was self-fertile, I would never have a failed flower. But since I didn't like this variety last year, I didn't pollinate any of them, and I had tons of failed flowers. So it tells me it's not self-fertile, because it would self-pollinate if it was. It's a nice flower though. What do we call this? This isn't variegation. I don't think it's variegation. I call it mutation. But actually it's an A4 crossed with Halley's Comet. This is actually my very first hybrid. This is my second. Oh, no, this is my third. This one right here. So this is seedling 1 and this is seedling 4, actually. This is seedling 4. And they're both yellow. I don't know what we call that. I actually have it in 2 different locations. So I have it in 3, I have seedling 1 in 3 locations, and I have seedling 4 in 3 locations, and they all yellow like this. So I don't know what's up with that. Oh, what's going on here? That could be a bud. That's BD11. Bruni Dark Star Seedling 11. Here's the Tropical Sunset fruits. They're not that big. They're similar to Bruni, I guess. Lots of Lake Atlan buds. All of the A5 Paco buds fell off. I think it might be because there's too much algae in here. I don't know, maybe, I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's only a cup. The THC looking real good. Maybe, I was thinking about maybe covering it with a 30% shade cloth, because I'm worried that it's getting too much sun exposure, just the way it is out here like this. If I don't do it and something happens, it'll be too late. Pink Laverne. I think, is that? Shoot. See, it's so hard to tell when you have so many branches going over everyone like that. Yeah, that's a Pink Laverne. You know, when you're putting a trellis together like this, it's actually better to, maybe it's better to have different varieties. So when you get to the top, it's not as confusing. Like Bruni never gets confused with Starburst, right? Connie G won't ever get confused with Starburst or Bruni. It's Green Lantern. It's actually a pretty decent size. Definitely bigger than Bruni. I've never seen a Bruni this big. And this was pollinated on the 28th, so 22 days ago. There's another one up there. Another Bruni. When's the right time to tip? This is a Bruni Lisa. This is a Bruni Lisa 9. Bruni crossed with Lisa pollen. Seedling 9. When's the right time to tip? So Halley's Comet. That's a Wildberry Skittles graft. I did that I think a month ago. A little over a month ago. Look at the bracts on this one. Same variety. Look at the bracts. Is that because of pollen source? Or does it happen at this stage? Like, is that one with a little bit of bracts, and then this one has a bunch of bracts, a lot of bracts. This one has no bracts. Like, this one has no bracts. Is that how it works? Or is that pollen? What do you guys think? Giant Vietnamese white. This is my second year of giant Vietnamese white. It's supposed to be self-fertile, self-pollinating, but this one is self-fertile, but it's not self-pollinating because the stigma and the anthers, they're not touching. They're too far away. Self-pollinating is visual, right? If the stigma and the anthers are touching, that means it's self-pollinating. If they're too far away, that means it's only self-fertile. At least that's how I thought it was. I always thought it was visual. Like, if it's touching, if the pollen is touching the stigma, that's called self-pollinating. If it's not touching, it's only called self-fertile. At least that's what I thought. Oh, this is the A5 RC6, the A5 Paco crossed with Red Crystal Seedling 6. Look at this bud. This thing is crazy looking. I don't know if that's healthy. It's way too many bracts, right? I've never seen so many bracts. If it fails, there's like at least 4 more buds. This thing is active. A5 RC6. So when do you tip? I would say this is one of the best examples for when to tip, because this branch has more activity than some of the other branches, that actually all of the other branches, all of the other hybrids. This one has 4 or 5 buds, so something was done right. I don't know, I guess this length. But that's also a, what is that, like a 10-foot piece, so that might have something to do with it too. I haven't really dialed that part in. I have some ideas on when to tip, but I'm still testing things out. This one's Starburst pollinated with Tropical Sunset. So Tropical Sunset is a pink flower, and Starburst is a big, beautiful white flower, kind of similar to Trisha, but the Starburst has a bigger fruit. So Tropical Sunset has a smaller fruit. Looks like it's going to be about the same size as Bruning fruits, but it's hard to say. It's only, you know, the first fruits of a brand new hybrid, so what am I saying? So who knows? But this one has a deep red flesh, so depending on what color flesh Tropical Sunset has, this could be very interesting. Darkstar's got crazy bracts too. You know, actually, the physical graffitis, I haven't had any physical graffiti this year. Not even one bud. Not even one bud. But last year it was one of my top producers. Yeah, it was one of my top producers. Late into the season though, so I'm thinking maybe that's why. That has something to do with it. You know, actually these Darkstars this year, well, even last year, late last year, the Darkstars, the physical graffitis, the Halley's Comet, the Cosmic Charlies, they all look the same. They all look like a light pink. The taste was basically all the same. They looked the same. It was like they were all interchangeable. I couldn't even tell them apart. So I would say they're all basically the same. Maybe subtle differences. I would just pick the one that grows the best. You know, actually I'm thinking about just cutting the tops off and just using the rootstocks. Just keeping a couple of my favorite Guatemalans and then just cutting the rest off and then just using the rootstocks. Like, take off this physical graffiti, the Darkstar, and then you know, maybe put some hybrids in. We'll see. You know, when you first start out, it's like Guatemalans taste good right off the bat. Like, the first fruit you ever have will probably be pretty tasty, whereas like this Taiwan Red, the first year fruits were terrible. They were all maybe 3/4 of a pound, but they brixed around 16, but they were super bland. They're really bland and earthy, but there was a lot of them. There was a lot of fruit. And then last year, that would be the second year fruits, all the fruit was 1 pound and they all brixed around 19. Highest brix was 21. And that's when the peach and the nectarine type flavors started showing up and the earthiness just went away. And then this year, it's probably the best fruit. This one or Lake Atalan are probably the 2 best fruits this year. And last year, Lake Atalan, I thought I was going to take it out because it was so bad. And then this year, it might be the best one. Either this one or they're both pretty good. I would say this one is maybe better because I've had so many of them already this year, and it's consistent. They're consistent. They're good. I just need to have some more Lake Atalans though. That's all. So those are all self-pollinated back there. No, I'm not pollinating any sugar dragons anymore. I'm just gonna see how they do on their own. You know, if I need to collect the pollen, that's one thing, but I'm just gonna see if they ever self-pollinate. Let's go look in there. I've had some fails. I've had some take though, but I do have a lot of bees. But I'm not gonna pollinate any more sugar dragons because they're not accessible either. So I just let them do their thing. This scorpion is starting to change color. It's been about 3 days since it started changing color. I'm excited to try this. Oh, look at this bud right here. Look at this thing. See it? See that? That is weird looking, right? That's a tropical sunset bud. I think that's a branch that turned into a bud. Something like that. That is strange. One of my first, I think that's my first one of those. So that's off of a tropical sunset graft. I had tropical sunset grafted in 3 locations, so 2 locations have flower buds. And it was obvious that this is an aggressive grower. You can tell, even if it's grafted, you can still tell some characteristics of how it's going to grow. One thing I will say that doesn't matter quite as much as if you get burns, yellowing or burns. The second year can be completely different where it doesn't affect the branches. So even if it melts off or anything, that's a very young branch. So if it melts off, it's really not that big of a deal. Having a 1-year-old hybrid melting off a little bit of branches, that's not a big deal. Because I've had the blueprint here, actually this branch right here, it completely, well, not completely, but it did have some severe burning, and I ended up taking it off, which was a mistake. But this year it's out in open sun and it's barely even green. I mean, it's barely even yellow. It's solid green, right? So don't freak out if you get severe burns. It's really not that, like this right here. This might seem like a big deal, but this branch is only 4 months old, 3 months old, right? 5, something like that. It's young. So it's not even a year old, 6 months at the most, probably 3 months old. So getting a burn like that, and I'm not covering anything, I don't think it's a big deal at all. But it's something definitely to keep an eye on. We had the red crystals open last night. It's the A5 crossed with red crystal, seedling 1. Both of them, I think they both took. Right, I pollinated with sugar dragon and a green lantern combination, so mixed pollen. See, it really looks, even though this is a A5 Paco seedling, a lot of it looks like red crystal. Right, a lot but it looks like red crystal. Actually, I don't really see a lot of I don't see a lot of Paco in it other than the red flowers, and then some of this that's dried now, but some of that area kind of looked like a red crystal also. I mean Paco, Jacinta Paco. My first yellow Pelora of the season. I think it's opening tomorrow. I tried to hybridize it with it last year, and I ended up with this. So, Pelora crossed with Taiwan 1-4, so I thought. So I ended up with this. This is I think this is a true to seed yellow Pelora. So what happened was what happened was it pollinated itself before I got to it, I guess. So I ended up just with 2 regular true to seed Peloras. So when I tried to pollinate it, it had already pollinated, self-pollinated. That's because the stigma and the anthers, they're touching. So when the flower opens, it's already pollinated itself. And that's what happened here. I had 2 of them, but I took one down already. See, that's Pelora, and then right here, Pelora. All right, let's grab some pollen out of here. I need some of this actually. You know, I actually only use Sugar Dragon pollen as a last resort. I feel like it normally makes small fruit. So I only use Sugar Dragon as a last resort. Otherwise, I'll use anything other than, well, I would say Bruni, A4, and Sugar Dragon. 3 worst pollen. Well, red crystal, because red crystal doesn't work for anything. So top 4 worst pollen. All right, call it a night. Comment if you like this kind of video.